From the latest on Stoney Field to the future of Burke High School, I sit down exclusively with Charleston County School Board member Todd Garrett for a special edition of Quintin's Close-Ups. And be sure to download the free Quintin's Close-Ups app in your Apple or Google Play stores. And listen to this interview later on iHeartRadio. Todd Garrett.
Yes.
It's so good to see you again.
Hey, good to see you too.
I appreciate it. Yeah, you know, as we say right now, the big talk right now is about the future of Stoney Field.
Right.
And I know that LiveByNews.com reported this just recently. The home field for the Burke Bulldogs is set to get its renovation underway by the end of the year. The field has dropped 2 to 3 feet over the last 54 years, City of Charleston Parks Director Jason Kronsberg said. When you think of Stoney Field right now, what do you see?
My son plays on Stoney Field with the Mitchell Raiders downtown and has for the last 2 years. And it's Stoney Field. The field itself, as long as you're on a good dry day, is fine right now. But it has been sinking. The track is a mess. If there's ever rain, you cannot physically get to either of the stands without getting your shoes completely wet. And when you've got your moms and grandmothers showing up, grandfathers to watch games, it's a dangerous situation for some of them. But the field there, all of that's been built on landfill over the years, and so as you saw with the old city gym that used to be on the corner of Lockwood and Fishburne and Haygood there, that by the time they tore it down, you could see clear under the building because the land around the building, which was built on pilings, had been sinking just like Stoney Field has been doing. So the plan moving forward for fixing it is to infuse an extra layer of dirt into the current field. That's going to start this month, and then eventually to replace the whole field with an AstroTurf field so that it can be used repeatedly without becoming the muddy mess that it is today. So.
And I know that the school district is going to be using $1 million from the penny referendum. That in 2015 we passed referendum again with a list of projects that could be funded from it. One was $1 million going towards Stoney Field. The balance of the this project's going to be roughly in the $4 million range just for the field itself. The balance of that's going to come from the sale of the Archer building, the school district that was the old Sanders Clyde School. That's on the market now. We're hoping to get it sold. Of that, taking the majority of the funds from that sale and putting them into Stoney Field so we can finish the field itself. Another proposed idea around the field was putting an NCAA track that the high schools could use, that the neighboring colleges, the Citadel and the College of Charleston could use. That's still a potentiality. Okay. At this point, the NCAA track, the funds are not there for moving forward with that. It would take a combination of city and those colleges coming to bring in money to the table for that to be funded. We could do a center track at this point, but as far as the NCAA track, because if you look, NCAA track would take a larger footprint than what we have on the track around the field. That to build an NCAA track on this site, you need to tear down one of the 2 current bleacher stands there, so that potentially the side closest to the Citadel Stadium would be torn down to be able to accommodate an NCAA track. So that's something that could still happen in the future. Our building of this turf field is not going to prevent that from happening at some point if the funds are there. But at this point, we're just moving forward to try to get a dry field for the kids to play on Fridays and Saturdays with football, lacrosse, whatever else they're playing, soccer moving forward. The NAACP, the college track that you guys are proposing, would that fit inside the $1 million budget you all have?
No, not at all. The current budget we've got is right around $4 million for the turf field itself, and then a track on top of that would be roughly another $5 million because they would need to put pilings underneath the track so that it doesn't settle and crack as the rest of the fields have done. But.
And if the College of Charleston and Citadel were to be able to give you guys money for that particular project,
and the City of Charleston,
how much would that be combined in your mind?
We'd need roughly another $5 million to complete it. Yeah.
Wow. And what else would you
I know you promised the community and the district 20
Yeah.
constituent school board that Stoney Field will be completed at some point.
Yes.
What other promises do you have in your mind now?
I want to see Stoney Field get done and keep improving what our primary mission downtown, which is trying to get kids college and career ready by their graduation. We do an okay job by about half of our students. We do a poor job by a lot of our students, and that's across the district. It's not just downtown, but my main focus is to ensure that we're putting every dollar we can in the classroom to improve results for kids, so that all of our kids are, the ones at Mitchell, the ones at Sanders Clyde, are on a track so that when they graduate, they walk across that field, they're either walking into a training program, they're walking into a job, or they're walking into a college classroom in which they don't need remediation. So that's our goal, and that's where my mind is moving forward.
And where is your mind on Burke High School?
Burke High School is, I want to see an integrated, rigorous school downtown. That's not taking away anything from the proud history of Burke, but as a community, if we've got roughly 20 schools throughout the district that are nearly completely segregated, whether they're almost all white and the predominance of them are almost all black. As a community, that's not a healthy situation. I mean, all of this is getting way beyond the Stoney Field conversation, but this is decades and generations in the making to get us to a point where we've still got 20 segregated schools out of our, roughly 25% of our schools are segregated. It's not healthy for the community. I mean, if we're going to have reconciliation within the community, if we're going to have true equity for all kids, meaning that, regardless of where your kids one day go to schools, they're going to have arts programs, they're going to have music programs, they're going to have sports programs, they're going to have AP classes. The only way to do that across the district, the only way to be able to have equity across the district is to be able to consolidate some of our schools into larger schools and to integrate the campuses across the district. When you look at the situation we've got today with it all dates back to the Act of Consolidation in 1967. If you talk to Reverend Nelson Rivers, he will tell you that the whole intent behind the constituent board setup was to keep things as they were. It was an attempt to keep the Justice Department from coming in and dictating a busing program to ensure integration in Charleston County. There's no other district like this in the United States that has constituent boards like this. This was set up to keep schools effectively separate but equal, and it's done a pretty good job of it. But they're not equal in our results for kids, and so what I would love to see, and I've got 2 years left on the board. I'd love to see a push at the state level for a couple different things. One, I'd love to see the Act of Consolidation repealed and replaced with just a regular Charleston County district set up without the constituent boards and all the different geographic boundaries that were set up in 1967. I'd love to see Act 388. It's a funding act, repealed or replaced. That was passed in 2006, and it essentially took away our ability. It took away funds and didn't replace them with enough funds in return. What it did was it took away operating taxes from homeowners, so that you and I, for our homes, we don't pay a dime for a teacher's salary. For this commercial building we're sitting in right now, all commercial buildings and all second homes pay for operating expenses in schools, but with Act of 388, they took it off of all homeowners. Well, that sounds great. It replaced it with a 1 penny tax.
Okay.
And then across the statewide, of those funds that we send to the state, we as Charleston County only get 34 cents back. And so Act 388 essentially took away our ability to fully pay for the education that we need in Charleston County. So I would love to see Act 388 repealed and replaced. Effectively, it took all of the operating of Charleston County School District. Let's imagine 2 blocks here. One was on homeowners, one was on commercial properties. It took all of the operating expenses and put them on commercial properties. It's just, that's a much smaller group of properties. You lose the ability to draw funds across the whole of Charleston County, and you also lose the buy-in from homeowners because they aren't paying for it. You know, it's one thing that a lot of elderly people across the state will say, well, you know, if you put those back on me, you know, why am I paying for operating expenses when I just moved here as a retiree, or, you know, my kids are out of school. That's fine, and I would like to see senior citizens protected so that they don't have those taxes put back on them. But Act 388, currently we're on an unsustainable path. Our current funding formula does not work and will put districts on a path to insolvency if Act 388 is not fixed. Final thing, I would love to see healthcare and pension reform. And again, this gets back to insolvency. Our current pension system for state workers and for our teachers is our current employees are paying for those who have already retired. It is an unsustainable path that we're increasing every year the amount that we have to pay towards people who have already retired. Nothing's been done so far because nobody's got a good solution, but that which is unsustainable will eventually fail. And as we've seen it already happen in other states, it's already happened in Illinois, it's already happened in Detroit, where you let expenses grow way beyond your ability to tax them.
Okay.
And we've got to come together to address that as a state, that we've got an unsustainable system. What does that mean for a classroom? It means that every year, this year we pay 32 cents of every dollar is going towards healthcare and retirees. And so that's a dollar I can't spend in the classroom. It's a dollar I can't pay a brand new teacher to come into the classroom. So for every $40,000 we spend on a new teacher, we're really spending $58,000 because the other $18,000 is being spent on current retirees and healthcare costs. Again, those are growing beyond our ability to pay for them with taxes. So.
And you talk about the classroom. I got to take you to Prestige Preparatory Academy.
Okay.
What is the situation right now as we sit here?
Prestige Preparatory Academy had a hearing, I want to say in the spring of last year.
Okay.
There's a question about the long-term sustainability of it financially.
Okay.
That Prestige, their mission in life, or as a charter school, is a noble one. It's particularly to focus on African American, on poor children within the district. Predominance of their focus was particularly or the predominance of the students were African American. So trying to get poor African American males and trying to do a better job of Charleston County at improving results for those kids, because that's a demographic that Charleston County historically and currently does not do a great job of educating. That our results for African American males is not good. That was their mission.
Okay.
Trying to do that with a charter school setup is not a great way to go about it. The thing with the charter school is you're given a state mandated amount of money per child that shows up at your door. If that's a set rate, if you've got children who need more resources than that set, then if you set up as a charter school, you don't have any way to get those. If let's say, for example, at a Sanders Clyde, we as a district spend a much higher per student number than average than we would if we were given that to a charter. So by setting up as a charter, you're guaranteeing the amount of money you're going to be able to get for kids, and particularly under-resourced kids. You need more support. You need more interventions to be able to get kids up and ready to be reading by grade level by third grade. Looking at Prestige Preparatory Academy, another thing, when they started out, we recommended them waiting a year to try to recruit before they got going. They started, they made it through the year and were viable. After their hearing, the vote was 7-1. I voted against it to let them stay open for another year, but that if we told them
based on their accountants' own numbers and our numbers, that if they didn't have 85 kids by day one, they were not financially viable throughout the whole year. Now, why would you know that on day one? Because you're going to get a check based on the number of kids you've got there. If you've got X amount of salaries, we can map out exactly how much it's going to cost to pay them for 9 months. And if they didn't have 85 kids, they were not going to have enough to pay them throughout the year, so that they would run out of money and will run out of money sometime next semester. My main concern with Prestige Prep, their results for kids were not demonstrably better than what Charleston County is doing already. So they're not doing a better job than we are. They're not financially viable, and so we need to figure out if they're not. I don't want kids to lose a semester next semester. If they're not going to be able to complete the semester, I'd rather pull those kids back in to Charleston County, place them in a school that we know is going to be running, that we know has got the supports for those young men, and then help them to recoup the last part of the year and finish off a good year. Prestige Prep, if you need 85 to be viable, they had 53, and we're going to 52 students as of, let's say, 15 days ago.
Okay.
So, they'll sometime in the early part of next semester they'll run out of money. So, and then the charter will be revoked as a result.
How much money has the Charleston County School District doled out to this particular school?
I need to look back at my records on that school.
Okay.
The amount that we spend on each charter is set by state law, so
Okay.
that if they're organized within Charleston County, then we give them a check based on the number of students they've got in their seats on day one.
How much more money are you guys going to give to them now that they have 52 students?
It's set by state law.
Okay.
Unless we pass something actively saying we're going to add additional funds to that school, then it will be, at the end of next year, their charter will be revoked.
Have you been able to go to that school by chance?
Yes, I went through it right before the hearing last year. I went through with 2 other board members. We met on site, and there have been other facilities issues. If you're organizing a charter, you're not going to get transportation. You're not going to get facilities. I support. If we've got empty facilities anywhere, I support trying to get charters into them, because there's no reason they should waste money on facilities if we can fit them within our footprint of Charleston County Schools, as we've done with Carolina Voyager, with Charleston Charter Math and Science, with Orange Grove. Right. And so we've talked about trying to get them into the Garrett campus. Okay. Which is, it's not ideal to have an elementary school and a high school on the same campus, but at least with that situation, they'd have a building with heating, cooling, and bathroom facilities for them to use as well. But
and you talk about school board members. Obviously, Joyce Green has joined you all on the Charleston County School Board, and obviously Eric Mack is the chairperson for the school district, and Kate Darby's the vice chair. What do you expect from this particular school board with your 2 years left?
I hope there's a laser focus on results for kids. If any student of Charleston County School District who comes to a meeting can see the foolishness that goes on. There has been a hyper focus on the adults in the room, on the adults in the system, and not on the kids in the system. I've got 4 kids, all in Charleston County schools. All have been in Charleston County schools since day one, and I want my kids to get a wonderful education. They deserve to, as does any other kid within this district. And if there's something we're doing in this district that I wouldn't want for my own kids, I don't want any other kids to be subject to it. We've got to check our egos at the door and come in focused on what are we going to do, how in this next year, what are the goals we're setting for our students, what are the goals we're setting for our teachers, what are we doing to reward and pay good teachers, what are we doing to reward and pay top leaders and prepare top leaders within the district, making sure that we've got a top principal in each classroom, and then what are we doing to make sure we've got the resources
to pay for all that. So that I'm the chair of the Audit and Finance Committee and have been for the last 5 years, and will ensure that we cut wherever we can in order to put every extra dollar we can into the classrooms to pay teachers more, to pay top leaders and principals more within each school, and ensure that we're getting better results for kids. But there are a lot of tough decisions that need to be made really over the next 4 months. That if you're looking at Charleston County Schools, we've got 50,000 kids and we got over 60,000 seats in our schools. That's a lot of empty space. That's a lot of empty space. You got to heat, you got to cool, you got that. Moving forward, I would like to see the district decide, what is the ideal footprint for Charleston County Schools? Do we need 84 schools and programs, or is there a better way to get results for kids, to have more supports for kids by consolidating that footprint some? So that's my hope for this next year. I'm very excited to have Joyce Green on the board. I was an adamant supporter of her. I met her back in the spring for the first time, and so I'm excited to have her perspective as a business person on the board. She's got no agenda except for kids within Charleston County, and so I welcome her, and I'm grateful for her willingness to be able to serve on the school board. So.
And if I were to interview you for Quintin School Subs a year from now,
right,
what would be the foot bill for the Stoney Field renovations?
What would be the what now?
How much would it cost by that time?
It better not. It shouldn't go up.
Okay.
It should be by the time we come now. It'll be set to open up in the fall of 2020.
Okay.
So this next year, Burke, the Charleston City Parks teams will all be playing on different fields for next year. That was why we were delayed, because of the rain and storms in the fall pushed the football schedule back. But this time next year, the field should be under construction, and we should be ready to go come August of 2020. And I'm just so everybody knows I've got a stake in that, because I'm going to be sitting in that stands watching my son play as well. And I want to make sure that the Burke team is out there, that the Mitchell Raiders, that all the Charleston Rec team are able to use that field as soon as possible.
Todd Garrett, thank you so much for your time. I really, really appreciate this.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you coming.
Anytime.
All right.